Tina and Amora were inseparable since their childhood in Lagos, Nigeria. Growing up in a small, tightly knit neighborhood, they shared dreams, secrets, and a bond that seemed unbreakable. So when they both met their respective husbands, David and Michael, and got married around the same time, their friendship seemed destined to flourish in parallel. Tina and Amora were like sisters, always sharing everything, from clothes to aspirations. Their weddings were spectacular events, both of them looking radiant in their wedding gowns, with their best friends by their sides, laughing and celebrating together. The future seemed full of promise for both. However, as their first years of marriage passed, their lives began to take different turns. While Amora conceived soon after her marriage, Tina struggled. She tried everything, consulted doctors, and underwent numerous treatments, but the months turned into years, and still no child. The loneliness she felt was suffocating, the envy of watching Amora's growing belly, and the constant talk of a perfect pregnancy gnawed at her. When Amora gave birth to a healthy baby boy, Tina smiled through the pain, but deep down, jealousy brewed. Her friends and family started asking why Tina hadn't had a baby yet, and with every question, Tina's heart grew heavier. It seemed like everyone around her was getting what she wanted, except her. Then, 9 months after Amora's delivery, Tina was shocked and overwhelmed with joy when she learned that she was pregnant. It seemed like the universe had finally answered her prayers. But beneath the excitement was an undercurrent of something darker, an obsession with outdoing Amora. Her pregnancy became not just about having a baby, but about proving herself, but it's all lies because she wasn't pregnant but declared after a few months she had a miscarriage. Years passed, and just as Amora's child began walking, Amora announced that she was pregnant again. It was too much for Tina. The idea that Amora, always the perfect one, was going to have another child while Tina still struggled with her own insecurities, made her snap. Tina's jealousy reached a boiling point. She couldn't allow Amora to have another perfect pregnancy while she had no child. Tina decided to take matters into her own hands. One evening, while Tina was at a family gathering with her husband David, she overheard a conversation between David and Michael. They were discussing the upcoming births, and Michael casually mentioned that Tina was carrying twins. Tina froze. Twins. The thought excited her, and at the same time, it terrified her. But Tina had a plan. She visited the doctor she and Amora had been seeing for their antenatal care and subtly persuaded him to help her. The doctor, a quiet man, was hesitant but couldn't resist Tina's persistent pressure. She had become a master at manipulating people, and this was no different. The doctor promised to deliver one of the twins to Amora while telling Tina that one of the babies hadn't made it. Months later, in the delivery room, Tina gave birth to 2 healthy babies, but only one was handed to her. She was devastated. The doctor informed her, with a sad look, that one of the twins had died, but Tina refused to let it show. Tina's plan had worked perfectly. Tina was in another room pretending to be in labor as well, the doctor who had already connived with Tina and gave Tina the second twin baby so she can claim it as hers. Tina was happy that she now has a baby and was aware that her best friend's grief was her gain. Amora was happy for Tina, her besties, without knowing what evil she had done to her. Amora took Tina's baby into her arms, thrilled to see her friend's baby. Tina played her part, smiling through the agony of it all, pretending to be devastated but secretly knowing she had gained something even more precious, the power of deception. Years went by, and Tina's life seemed perfect. Her husband adored her, and she is now a mother, a beautiful teenager. But the seeds of doubt were quietly growing in the shadows. Then, fate intervened. The twins, now teenagers, met by sheer accident at an event organized by an NGO for teenagers from different parts of the country. The resemblance was undeniable. Same eyes, same smile, same mannerisms. At first, Ella's heart skipped a beat, but she quickly brushed it off, convincing herself that it was just a coincidence. But as the day went on, Ella couldn't shake the feeling that something was off, especially with other teenagers talking about their resemblance. The twins started spending more time together, forming their own bond, and their curiosity about their origins grew. They began noticing the little things, how their personalities matched perfectly, how they shared similar dreams and even preferences. They started asking questions about their families, and the cracks in Tina's carefully constructed lie began to show. Meanwhile, the twins, now teenagers, struggled to come to terms with the truth. Both of them, despite being raised in different households, had developed a bond so strong that it could not be severed by the years of separation. They had started meeting in secret after the events where they met in order to find answers to their curiosity, spending hours together, bonding over the similarities they shared, trying to make sense of their fractured past. Ella has been talking to her mother Amora about a girl she met at the teenagers' event and how everything about them was the same, including resemblance. When Amora saw Tara's picture, who is Tina's daughter, she was very surprised to see someone especially like her own daughter. The truth, no matter how long hidden, always has a way of revealing itself. The twins, despite being raised in different worlds, were bound by blood, and nothing could ever change that. It was during one of those moments of deep thinking that Amora received an unexpected call from a family member back in her hometown. Amora, the voice on the other end said, "I think you need to know something." The voice revealed a truth that Amora had never anticipated. A long-lost relative had kept an eye on Tina and her family, and they had overheard something disturbing. It turned out that the doctor who had assisted Amora and Tina in the birth of the twins had a history of unethical behavior, including falsifying medical records and making deals with patients for money. What seemed to be a coincidence had a darker origin. The doctor had been bribed to make sure Tina's plan succeeded. The twins had been switched deliberately at birth. Amora, filled with rage and hurt, knew that there was more at play here than just Tina's lies. But with the truth now laid bare, she realized that the only way to move forward was to expose the entire web of deceit, including the doctor who had helped perpetuate this madness. She couldn't let this go unanswered, not for her sake, nor for her children's. Amora reached out to the twins. Together, they confronted Tina and demanded the full truth. The confrontation was raw, emotional, and painful. Tina had no choice but to confess everything: the doctor's involvement, her decision to deceive, and the years of guilt she had carried in silence. But the damage had already been done. Her words couldn't undo the hurt she had caused. Amora, devastated by the truth, couldn't look at Tina the same way anymore. The woman she had trusted, loved like a sister, had betrayed her in the most profound way imaginable. The trust they had built over the years was shattered beyond repair, and Amora had no words for Tina. "I never thought you'd be capable of this," Amora said one day, her voice trembling as she faced Tina for the first time since the truth came to light. Her eyes, once filled with affection, now reflected hurt and disbelief. Tina stood silent, her guilt paralyzing her. The realization of what she had done, how far she had gone to fulfill her jealousy and insecurities, was too overwhelming to articulate. She had taken so much from Amora, not just the chance to raise her own son, but the trust that had sustained their friendship. The guilt burned through her veins, but there was no escape. She had no words left to apologize. The months that followed the revelation were filled with a whirlwind of emotions. Tina's world had come crashing down. The lies, once so carefully constructed, had unraveled in an instant. The twins, now aware of the truth, couldn't bear the thought of the deception that had been hidden from them for years. Tina's betrayal of her best friend, Amora, was the final blow to a friendship that had been the foundation of her life. "I feel like everything's been a lie," Tara said to Ella, her twin sister. At this, she is now facing the reality that the woman she thought was her mother had lied to her about her very identities. "How do I even look at her now? She's not the person I thought she was." Ella, sitting across from her with her arms crossed, stared at the ground. "I don't know. But you know what? The truth doesn't change who we are. We are sisters and nothing can change that." Though the truth had torn their families apart, the bond between the twins grew stronger. The discovery that they were truly siblings, connected by blood, gave them a sense of unity in the face of their shattered lives. They had both been deceived, but together they were determined to find a way forward, not for Tina's sake, or Amora's, but for their own. Despite the painful past, Amora had to find a way to move on, for her own peace of mind. But healing wasn't easy. The betrayal ran deep, and there were days when Amora couldn't help but feel that a part of her was forever broken. She had trusted Tina, the woman who had been like a sister to her, and now everything felt like a lie. The discovery hit Amora like a thunderclap. The betrayal wasn't just about Tina's jealousy, it was a deep-seated conspiracy, a manipulation so calculated that it has destroyed both families forever. As Amora and the twins began their own journey toward healing, the betrayal had left a permanent scar. The families no longer lived in talking terms, and Tina and Amora don't see anymore. Tina, though, tried in vain to reconnect with Tara, but she had lost her because of her jealous heart. But the chasm between them was too wide, and the lies too many. Years have passed, and life began to settle into a new normal. Ella and Tara, despite their tumultuous past, had become close friends. They shared their experiences, their pain, and their new understanding of family. The truth had brought them together, not torn them apart. And though Tina's actions had left them with scars, they chose to move forward, choosing to define their own identities, free from the shadows of deception. Amora, on the other hand, found solace in the quiet moments with her children. Though the wounds would never fully heal, she knew that she had done everything she could for her family. She had forgiven herself for trusting Tina, but it would take time for her to trust again. Tina, alone in her guilt, tried to rebuild her life. She had lost so much, not just Amora, but the respect of her family, her peace of mind, and her dignity. She had no one left but herself to blame. The truth had come out, but in the end, the consequences of her actions were the most brutal punishment of all. And so, the families moved on, each in their own way. The bond between the twins had healed, and they now understood that the blood they shared was the truest thing about them. Tina, she learned the hardest lesson of all, that envy, deceit, and betrayal could destroy everything she had ever cared about. In the quietest moments of the night, she would wonder if it had been worth it. But by then, the past was long gone, and the truth had already set its course. As for Tina, she was left by family and friends and lived in the world of sadness.